Yeah.
And I like psychology, but I don't like mainstream psychology either. Like, I create
Oh,
new
interesting.
psychological
Okay.
theory,
Yeah. Such
and then,
as.
well, I created a taxonomy that outlines emergent consciousness in relation to
Dude, someone just saved me. Thank you.
complexity and other emergent phenomena that apply to how we think, perceive reality, how complex is the life form's thinking. I pretty much removed speciesism from it because I feel that that is an oversimplification.
Oh,
I understand.
boner.
I understand what they're trying to outline, but we know genetically we are all related to all life, maybe except for arsenic-based life, newly discovered. That might be completely unrelated to us, but I would have to look into that further. Everything else we are genetically related to. So I look at all life as the same life. It's just we're all different expressions of that same life. We all take turns being the grass. We all take turns being whatever, a cell in the body. And what I mean by that is all matter and energy, all carbon becomes chains and other things inevitably. And we're throwing off particles all the time. Cells die and we replace them new copies, and so we're always becoming something new. And
Well, like in
all
a reincarnation sense, or like a.
it was in look at the entire biosphere, all complex biology, as a one mass, one ever transmuting mass of microbiological symbiotic consciousness. We are all sharing the consciousness. We all share information. We pass it from one form to another, and then what we do, what we call dying, it happens, and then it immediately the environment starts using the material to make a new form of consciousness, which then picks up any thoughts that we've put into the sea, into the pool, when we were in a previous form. All things that we think, everything we do, it is all a product of group thinking, all consciousness. And so understanding that, and then understanding that there is no self because it's constantly dying and being replaced, and the brain is being reshaped all the time, even though it's the same physical material, and realizing that we don't stay the same, and our lives are really short, the universal perspective, fart in a tornado. So you take all this stuff, and you say, well, then I guess most of mainstream psychology is really just being applied to a certain perspective. So if the life form is at a certain complexity level and perceptual paradigm, that it thinks that it is totally separated and individual, and it is creating self-affirmations to prove this perceptual paradigm to itself, then you can apply a lot of modern psychology to it. Things about like Freud figured out, like observing the id and the ego, and people who are religious, Western religions, believe in a soul. Any life that believes in a soul, then they believe in excessive individualism. And so you can apply all of psychology, you can manipulate the shit out of them, very, very easy, because their perception of reality is very simple. And you know what it is, therefore you know lots of things about it. And when you learn enough about science, after a while, like neurology and particle physics and chemistry and biology, microbiology, you learn about the physiology in our bodies.
Damn it, you son of a bitch.
There's just a lot to know in reality in general. And so once you do learn it,
Yes.
then you get a different perspective, and you realize that old world psychology doesn't really serve that perceptual paradigm anymore. I mean, you can't apply something like narcissism to a form of consciousness that understands individualism is a farce. So you have to create a new structure to support understand, analyze, and really, it might not even be necessary to have psychology
finally
at that
died,
point,
Jeez.
because
It's 12 now.
without individualism, a life form isn't creating self-affirmations that say, "This is what makes me me." They just keep changing and reacting and adapting to the situation, and as soon as you try to analyze something like that, it changes, and then you have to reanalyze it again, and the amount of time it would take you to analyze it is so time-consuming that you can't keep up with it.
Oh,
This is
motherfucker,
the
what's
emergent phenomenon I'm referring to: consciousness, expanded consciousness.